The war had lasted so long that stars were being born in its shadow. Whole systems died before anyone could even remember why it started. To the galaxy, the conflict was history. To humanity, it was survival. The war between the Terran Alliance and the Vkari Dominion had raged for 2 centuries. They were old, the Vkari. Elegant, powerful, telepathic. They thought themselves gods wearing the flesh of angels. And when they conquered, they did not kill. They kept. Prisoners were trophies. Generals were trophies. And heroes, they were offered rewards. When the Dominion finally fell, when the human fleets burned across their last world and shattered their crystalline towers, the victors were given spoils. It was tradition, they said, for every warlord, every commander, every soldier who stood at the end. Captain Vale was among the last who still remembered what Earth once looked like: oceans, forests, the blue glow of home. He didn't want spoils. He didn't want titles. He wanted silence. But silence was never what the universe gave humanity. They brought her to him inside a glass pod. An alien woman, barely alive. Her skin shimmered like molten silver. Her eyes were dull, unfocused, the mark of psychic collapse. "She is the Queen's daughter," said the overseer. "A failure. Useless to her kind. Yours now, Captain. A reward." Vale looked at her, the faint pulse beneath translucent skin, the scars of restraint carved into her arms. And he felt something ancient stir inside him. Not pity. Recognition. He saw a reflection. The same fire humanity had once been told to extinguish. They said she was a failed heir. That her mind had cracked under the weight of her power. That she was too dangerous to live, but too royal to die. They gave her away because she embarrassed a crown. Vale didn't see a slave. He saw what the Vkari had been afraid of. A being who could feel too deeply to rule through cruelty. He released her restraints. When the guards objected, he didn't argue. He just stared until they left. Humans had learned long ago, power isn't always in the weapon. Sometimes, it's in the refusal to need one. Days passed aboard his ship. She said nothing. Did nothing. Just sat by the viewport, staring at the stars as if they were ghosts she once knew. But when the ship drifted through the debris fields of the Vkari homeworld, something changed. The stars burned red across her eyes. Her breath steadied. And then she spoke. "I remember this place." Vale didn't reply. He didn't need to. They traveled through the wreckage of a civilization that had called itself eternal. Cities that had floated once, now shattered and silent. Statues of queens whose names had ruled light itself, now drifting among dust. And slowly, the alien woman, the failed daughter, began to remember who she was. She wasn't weak. She had refused the Dominion's madness. She had seen what her people had become, and refused to rule over their cruelty. Her mother had called it failure. Vale called it strength. When the last surviving Vkari fleet appeared, a rogue armada of loyalists bent on vengeance, humanity was still rebuilding. Their defenses were thin, their fleets scattered. Vale's ship, the Emberlight, was closest to intercept. But they were outnumbered 100 to 1. Command ordered withdrawal. He didn't move. Because beside him, standing in the glow of the bridge, was the Queen's failed daughter, eyes burning brighter than any star. "I was born for this," she said softly. "Then show them," he answered. What happened next became legend. When the Vkari fleet closed in, the Emberlight didn't fire its weapons. Instead, the ship broadcast an open signal, unencrypted, raw, human. And through it, her voice. The daughter of the Queen spoke to her mother's army, not with commands, but with truth. She showed them the broken worlds, the dead cities, the children their empire had burned. She made them feel. It wasn't a psychic attack. It was something the Vkari had forgotten could exist. Empathy. And one by one, ships powered down. Weapons silenced. Crews wept. In minutes, the greatest fleet in Kari history surrendered, not to force, but to conscience. When it was over, she collapsed. The effort burned her out. Her psychic link shredded. Vale carried her to the stasis bay, placed her in a cryopod once more, not as property, but as promise. And for the first time in centuries, humanity didn't just win a war. They ended one. The galaxy changed that day. The name of the Queen's failed daughter was carved into history beside humanity's own. And when the stars told her story, they did not call her a slave. They called her the one who remembered mercy. Years later, historians would say it was humanity's influence, that we taught compassion to the gods. But the truth was simpler. We just reminded them what power really meant. And so, the stars learned that even the broken can burn brighter than kings.